Feeling powerless about the future? Well, my intention is through this video to get you to the place where you are feeling powerful, because things are happening as they ought, even if you don't understand that yet. What needs to happen now is to get into the driver's seat of your life, to understand how so much of who you are has been stripped away from you, and so that you can get through whatever is coming next, feeling more powerful than you ever have. There are a whole lot of people feeling powerless right now. And I believe with everything I am, your relief going through this will come when you honor yourself by living from your core, not the conditioning you've been operating from. That's the only reason you're afraid. So in order to not have any fear, you have to choose your core or your conditioning. Now, most people have not chosen to live from conditioning. Most people were stripped as a young child. And I'm telling you, once you're returned to self, you will not have any reason to fear. You will buckle down, get in the driver's seat of your life. See this just as an adventure, a journey, because you will have returned to wholeness. That is what I'm about to talk to you about. How to return to wholeness. Here's what's happened with most of us. And here's what you're feeling. You're feeling one of these three, if not all of them. I call them the three hindering eyes. Whenever there's some uncertainty, then insecurity, inadequacy, inferiority raise their ugly heads. Those only come because the conditioning has not prepared you for that, but your core is prepared. For a lot of people, they're afraid for their families, they're afraid for their children, they're afraid for the people they've cared for their whole lives. And I am telling you, we only project what we are. When you are returned to wholeness, you will project wholeness onto everybody around you. And in the way that you're about to learn exactly what that means, then your life is about to change, all for the better and to prepare you for whatever is to come. So no more feeling powerless about the future. This is the time to feel more powerful than you ever have, because everything is about attitude, mindset, and perspective. When you return to wholeness, everything about your attitude is about to adjust. Everything about your mindset is about to change. And everything about your perspectives are about to expand. You see, fear happens because you feel like you're out of options. That's never the case. You just don't see any more options. But when you return to self, you will. Let's get into it. Okay, we hear people all the time talking about self-awareness, and I think it's wonderful. Self-awareness is a beautiful thing. Self-awareness, self-care, self-love, all of those things. But unless you plan on living on an island, it's not enough. It's why awareness of individuality is really what we need. You're not just aware of who you are, how you operate, and what is important to you. You also understand the spectrum of individuality, so that not only do you understand you, but you understand all of the people who are important to you. It's why I tell parents all the time that your children do come with manuals, but the only way to understand how to read them is to get to know your own. When you learn your own manual, then you understand all of the different elements that make up each person's design, because you understand your own intimately. And understanding individuality is understanding the spectrum of temperaments. You see, I consider awareness of individuality the thing that allows you to successfully live, because it is like the backdrop. It operates in the background of your life, and you can make decisions successfully. You understand that everybody is on their own individual path, and the people who are closest to you, you know what they need, you know how to adjust your communication to them. Oh, there are so many different parts to it, but I'm gonna break it down and make it easy. Ready? I am. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe, like, forward, and hit that notification bell. So you heard me mention that word temperament. I have a system that I created many years ago, and it's the same one that I still use today. It is ageless and timeless, and I've shared some of it here on YouTube. So I'm not going to go into real depth, but I'll make sure that you can go to it. It asks one simple question: what is your priority? And it is broken up into 4 different quadrants. I call the goals and ideas the red zone. I called people and tasks the blue zone. Now, when you go to look at these, then I'm going through them all so that you can identify people, identify yourself, as well as those that you love, right? So this is temperament, and it's the first layer of understanding individuality. Under the layers, it's temperament and environmental influences. There's also processes, the ways to process individuality. I'm gonna go back to the layers in a moment. Once you understand the temperament, what your priority is and other people's priorities, then we have to get to the processes. How do we process our individuality? How do we process the sensory perception, the multiple intelligences, the emotional intelligences, and the modes of communication? Because that is imperative. When you understand those, then that makes all the difference. We all have specific ways that we do all of those things. If you've never heard of any of those things, then you don't know to look for them with yourself, neither others. Even if you've heard of it and it was only at work for professional development, there are ways to apply this to your personal life. I know they've told you that professional development was more important, the most important thing. It is not. As you already know, your life does not depend on professional development. No. Your personal problems need specific personal growth because your professional development is no match for your personal problems. That is what we have to get to in order to get to your core, in order for you to live according to your core and not your conditioning, okay? Now, let's look a little closer at these layers. In these layers, we've got core under temperament, and we've got conditioning under environmental influences. So your temperament, you didn't come here blank canvas. I don't care what they told you. They want you to believe that you are just a product of your environment. That is a lie. You came here with a particular wiring. Your temperament is your nature. Your temperament has a particular wiring, the way that you process things, the way that you process your thoughts and emotions. We've already gone through some of those processes. When you understand what those are, then you have more control of your life. You understand that you are not fighting with it. You didn't come here to live a generalized life, but to live a very specific life, okay? So, under temperament, you didn't come here blank canvas. You didn't come from nothingness. I just told you came here with a specific wiring. Now, all of this together, I call this when you understand yours and you understand it so intimately that it is operating as the backdrop of your life, it is operating just as the background, then you are automatically just moving through life from your core. Then you're able to look at the conditioning objectively and make some decisions about it. But until you get to your core, you are just operating from your subconscious, which has been conditioned with all of the social stuff I'm going to talk about in a moment. The last thing under temperaments that I want to make sure you clearly understand, you were not born with a mental disorder. None of us were. No single person was born with a mental disorder. Psychological disorders are created. Neurological disorders are different, but to call even that a disorder is just disrespectful, okay? Now, I am not telling you that you have not felt the pressures that they have defined under all of these psychological conditions. You have absolutely felt the pressures, but if you understood your core and you were living from your core, then you would already have the resolutions. You would already know how to get to the root of what's going on with you without having to accept the labels. I refuse to accept the labels. I have a lot of the characteristics of ADD. I had a father who understood that that was just baloney from the beginning and protected me. I have learned how to cooperate with my genius. I refuse to allow any kind of medication or to tell me that I am wrong or broken in any way. I understand if a diagnosis stops you from feeling broken. But I am telling you what I know for sure is that they created all of these boxes, and especially through the educational system. If you did not fit in the boxes, I understand why you felt broken. I understand why you felt wrong. I understand why you would accept the labels. All I'm asking you to do is to get to your core so that you can have some options, okay? That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to get to your core so that your children can have more options. I'm asking you to get to your core so that you don't fear your future. I'm asking you to get to your core so that you are not feeling powerless, but you get in the space of feeling powerful. And then automatically your attitude, your mindset, and your perspectives, all of that changes. All right, you with me? All right, let's go to the next layer. So we go back under environmental influences. And I'm telling you, under environmental influences, your good, your bad, and your ugly has been conditioned and been practiced. And that is why you believe whatever you believe about you and others. And when we can get through the conditioning, or start to at least understand the difference between your core and your conditioning, you will view every single person differently, because you then view yourself differently. When you get to your core, then you are no longer looking at you as problematic. Don't you see it's a problem that you look at yourself as problematic? It just creates more problems for you. Because here's one, before we even get through the environmental influences, all of that conditioning, here's one that every single person needs to understand. Whatever you're believing about you, you are emitting a vibration, because everything is energy. This one right here, I am telling you, every person needs to understand who they are, their thought processes, their emotions, all of that stuff emits. You emit a vibration. And from emitting that vibration, then you get more and more of whatever it is that you believe about yourself. You live from that conditioning. You don't have to. Your children certainly don't. I invite you to do this. If not for you, do it for your kids. Do it for the people around you. Okay? Let's look at the environmental influences. I'm just going to hit these, y'all, because there are whole processes when we go through this in my courses. So environmental influences that have made impacts on who you are: parental love or the lack thereof, support systems or the lack thereof, moral systems, and whether or not, I mean, moral itself, isn't that something that is totally objective? Huh? Who are we to talk about anybody else's morals? You have your own. But it is only through social conditioning that you're going around judging others. Education. What is it, education or indoctrination? I just told you psychology is indoctrination. It is not education. So in order to do yourself a favor, you owe it to yourself to get to the nitty-gritty of who you are, so you can stop living these general lives. You see, because people who have been indoctrinated have also bamboozled themselves. They've betrayed themselves. They've made themselves think that they are so much more because our society said they were. One person is no better than another one. No, one person isn't any smarter than another one because they have letters behind their names. Because degrees don't equal smart. Come on, y'all. No. Smart is how good are you at life? Huh? Because I know a whole lot of professionals with a lot of letters behind their names, including psychologists, who are not good at life. Experiences. And that one is the one that keeps people stuck more than anything, because again, everything is energy. And just because you've experienced something, people don't know that you don't have to have that thing with you for life. However it impacted you in a moment, energetically, you get to transform that if you understood that you are an energy source. You are an energy being. You get to modulate your energy when you understand your core, when you understand that energy is about how you feel. When you can change it, when you can transform that pain to peace, you can. But if you are repeatedly going to sit with somebody who is keeping you stuck in the pain, you just gonna stay in the pain. So wherever you sit with this, whether you understand living from your core or your conditioning, whether this is the first time you're hearing about it, the most expedient way to really get to starting to live according to your core is to order a clarifying session with me. When you order the clarifying session, it's not just one session, 60 minutes or 90 minutes, however long it takes us to get to that place of resolution for you, or to move the needle from pain to peace. It is not just that. There's some pre-work that you have to do. And along with that pre-work, there are some worksheets. Now, here's what my system, What is Your Priority, does. And the way that it's set up is it works with you in things that are relevant to you. So it's totally set up around the family. So the worksheets are going to work you through. In order for you to understand who you are, you got to understand the training ground you came from. Okay? Your family, training ground. Whether you had a good relationship with them, great relationship with them, a horrible relationship with them, they are still your training ground. So I keep you in your stuff so that you can have your aha moments and be able to relate and to integrate what you learn expediently. Okay? When you can do that, then we can move through the environmental, social conditioning stuff easier. Because here's what I do. When I talk about awareness of individuality being the backdrop that actually becomes just the background of how you operate, then that's what I've been doing over the past 25 years. I'm not fighting the world of psychology. I just went and worked my own way in order to help people to understand who they are. And so all of this is just my nature now. So while you are working through whatever you believe your issues are, I am automatically connecting all of these dots. And while you're telling me whatever you're telling me, what I'm hearing is all of these different ways, all the different elements that make up your design that are your hang-ups. And so I never tell you what to do. I am just asking you questions that lead you to your own space of expansion, that leads you to a broader perspective. And when you are led from a space of pain to a broader perspective, that's relief, honey. And the more you dig into that, you come to your own space of resolution, because there are no one size fit all. It's why personal development that is not specific to your core, it doesn't really work, and you don't have long-term resolution. Okay? I also invite you to join my list, because I do have some times when I will just do some special sessions and just invite you, because you're part of my community. You'll find those links down in the description. All right? Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you today. It's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it. As long as you can breathe and learn, it can get better. Ciao for now.